So I'm just leaving the Team Archon house where I did a live stream. It was actually my first time doing a live stream or a live webinar. It was for the RSD Founders Club members. And one of the members of the Founders Club, he didn't get his questions answered. So I decided to dedicate a video just for you, buddy. So we'll get right to it. After the webinar today, I sent a message on the RSD Founders Club phone app to this guy. I said, hey man, sorry I couldn't get your questions answered. Ask me as many questions as you want. I'll make a video just for you to answer those questions. So that's what we're doing here today. So let's get started and go through some of these questions here. So the first question he says is, what are the meditation techniques that I recommend? First of all, I've done a lot of them. You know, I've done through those meditative things where you like sit and have a guy who tells you a story, you relax, and you kind of close your eyes. We did one at the World Summit where we did like a gong thing where we had a guy blasting a gong and people releasing their energy. Owen goes to meditative retreats. I do none of that. The closest thing I do to meditation, I'll go to the spa. I'll relax. And my mind relaxes. I got a nice luxury spa. Las Vegas is great. Every hotel in the Strip has different spas. I go there with my wife usually, do couples massages. It's awesome. That's the closest thing that I'll have. I have like that Zen, relaxing music, kind of like Cafe Del Mar music. I listen to that a lot on YouTube. Let's go to the next question. He says, so this is interesting. This is from a story that I told in RSD Founders Club, because his question is, what made you still thrive when your business made you have so much debt that you were living in a car? And how are you able to see money in the future? So to give you some backlog, RSD was awesomely successful, and then the recession hit and dramatically gave us a massive amount of pain. We were in $500,000 in debt, and I ended up taking my 1997 Toyota Avalon, and this was like in the year 2008, very old car at the time, and I was living in the back seat of it, in the back of a parking lot at the Sheraton LAX, where I would sneak in and use their Wi-Fi, because it's free Wi-Fi, use their gym, eat their like food in the hallway, because they have bananas and oranges or whatever for the guests in the hotel. And he's saying, how are you able to run your business while you're doing this? Well, I was able to run the business because we were an online business, so I didn't need an office. We still had customers coming in, and we were still pulling in millions in revenue. And although I was doing that, I was living frugally because somebody had to suck up the pain, and I'd rather pay my staff than pay myself. So that's exactly what I was doing. At the same time, we had a game plan. So I knew that we had incoming money. And Owen always says to me that he's not scared, and I jive with him on this one. We're not scared when there's revenue coming in. The problem is when there's the revenue stop coming in, because now you don't have that lifeline, that blood. We still have blood coming in. We just need to lower our expenses and increase the blood flowing in, increase that cash flow to get us successful. In terms of like how happy I was not very happy at all, but I was doing things that allowed me to feel more control of my life. One of them was long distance running training. So I was training for marathons. I was on the treadmill, or I was running around Beverly Hills maybe 5 hours every single day. And that allowed me to kind of like be my meditative process, you know, relaxing, having the sweat come down, you're running, you're feeling like you're going somewhere. That was my time to really just think about the business, how to get out of that situation. And I came up with an idea to get us out of debt in 6 months, which is creating the RSD free tour. I went on a tour of hundreds of cities around the world, taught these 4-hour events, and I sold our programs to people that didn't really know about our programs. They didn't really know us about anything other than maybe like a few videos we posted on the internet. Back then we weren't as prevalent on YouTube. And so actually meeting me in person was a chance to meet a real person from our company, and that allowed us to convey who we are and get us out of that position. So the next question, he says, I'm in the startup phase of my business. Well, congratulations. It's a big step to make. I wish you the best of luck. It says, how do I smartly operate my cash flow to split between my business and me? I read about a guy who wrote a book about how to build a business because he built like an entrepreneur's organization. It's called an entrepreneur's organization actually today. He's the founder of it. And he wrote a book where he said, you should pay yourself, no matter how tough the business is, 10% of your revenue. So by doing that, paying the owners 10% of your revenue, you still feel like your life is good. Now, there's many times where I didn't pay myself 10%. I paid myself a lot less. When I say that is because we're trying to target so that I paid myself 10% and Owen pays himself 10%. So owner's equity paid flow. And we try to target more or less that in terms of how we pay ourselves. So what were your set of mindsets and beliefs in your first 2 years of business that made you crush it? Well, the biggest one was unquestionably, I believed in my people. I believed that I was investing in Owen and then the other instructors that were in my company. I believe they were so talented, no matter what we did, we could accomplish anything together. Of course, I put into work by building a business knowing that no matter what we did, we'd put everything together because I also believed in myself. I knew I could build the systems. I had a lot of experience building organizations, from student organizations in college to also like having a lot of intern experience that allowed me to have confidence in what I was doing as a business organizer. There's a lot of times where I didn't have that confidence, like especially in the very beginning, where I was out openly judging myself. But you just gotta kill that, because the field experience is where you learn everything, and no one expects you to have it all mastered in the beginning. You just need to master it. That comes from practice. So my recommendation is that you just develop the mindset. You're continually learning. You're going to develop those reference experiences, and no matter what, you're going to learn. Next question is, what was the biggest loss that you never thought that you could stand up from, but you got back from? Well, I think the biggest loss that we've had is not necessarily something that I didn't think we would get back from, because I've had so much confidence in RSD. There's actually never been a point where I was wondering whether or not we would actually survive it. But if you're saying bouncing back from something, that's unquestionably going to be, well, between two things. One is Joint Gate, where there's a massive reputation attack, but we bounced back from that. Well, actually, we're working on that still. But we definitely have made a ton of money, more than we would have expected off of that, because we kind of spin doctored that, just like we did with other attacks against us. And our organization is way bigger for us. But I think there was just a pure attack was recession. And I think that how we bounced back from that is that we had meetings every month between me and my board of directors, including Tyler, advisors from Deloitte and other expected business people, guys who come into our board meetings like Tony Hsieh from Zappos, Rob Pardo, the creator of World of Warcraft from Blizzard, and other really powerful, interesting people. And they gave us advice, and we tracked our metrics, we tracked our numbers, we continually had these 4 to 5 hour meetings over dinners and meals. Really nice meals, because when you have a 4 or 5 hour meal, that's a lot of food. You have little tastings though. So we just like tasting restaurants, like usually like French restaurants do that. Not necessarily cheap, but it gives you a cool ambiance. Instead of renting a boardroom for like $500, pay $500, you get food and the venue for the same price. Japanese restaurants do them as well. They're called omakases. Anyway, we had printouts of KPIs, key performance indicators, tracking all of our numbers from the previous month. And we also, tracked our goals and metrics and created them, and we tracked them month to month. Now, I did that with the board of advisors as well, separate from my board of directors. It was an independent one through the Entrepreneurs Organization. And having a mastermind of people to help stay accountable, that helped a lot. People I trusted. Now, when you come to like our level, we have these formal structures already readily available to us. All sorts of people, kind of like pay memberships, like country clubs. I have a lot of my friends who don't have that, so they create their informal ones among their social circle of friends. It's a little bit more difficult because you don't know the official structure of how to do that. Now, some of the ways you do that is you basically have everyone give updates at first about what's going on in their personal, family, and business life. Then you have every single month, 2 of the people of like 8 to 12 people in the mastermind share a presentation about a business issue they think is really important. Where they share their ideas, and everyone goes around the room and shares through Gestalt, which is the idea of sharing from personal experience, ideas that help you in your personal life overcome issues that are as similar as it gets. Even if it's really different, as similar as it gets to that issue. Because you never know when those tangents come around. Every now and then we'll also go through presentations, but by doing that, that structure allows us to have a really cool board of advisors structure in a meeting. The next question is, what is the difference now and when you started with hiring people or finding business partners? Well, I have one business partner, and that's Tyler. Now, I can consider my instructors also partners, and the hiring was basically Tyler finding the most talented people that he thought he could hire at the time. Now, if you look at today's day and age, there's a ton of them. It's like they're everywhere, but at the same time, they have to fit well with our corporate culture, which is a culture like a brotherhood, having like that bond of trust and loyalty to our core. And if they don't have that, then they're not going to be a part of our team. And Tyler is really good at filtering those people and finding out those people, because he personally trains and works with them for a very long time. Now, for business partners, people that I will not just hire for like business partners, like sharing the business with me, it's always been just like a bonding experience. There's like a friendship first. Now, the friendship definitely changes into a business relationship. A business partner relationship is more like a brother, more like a family relationship. It's like a marriage more than like a friendship, so it changes dramatically. But at the same time, you definitely need to have that willingness to work with each other, openly communicate with each other, and trust that the other person has your best interests in mind. Now, this is regardless of skill set, because of course you need to find people that are talented, but regardless of skill set, those core aspects of who they are as a core human being, way, way, way more important than anything else. All right, what 3 things would you say to your younger self that would make you grow faster and grow your business faster? That's a good question. You know, the fact that I know so many powerful people, and the right people for my business, if I could just tell my previous self who those people are and hire those people and not hire those people that were bad hires, that would be a great thing for me. And the other thing I would have done is I always built this business from the very beginning to automate, to build systems so that if I wanted to take time off, the business would still run. I'd have more time to grow the strategy of the company and also build the business in new ways and work on growing the business as opposed to working in the business, working on the business instead. Meaning that I'm working on doing those things the business isn't already yet doing, as opposed to managing the day-to-day things like checking email or checking to see if Joe is doing what he should be doing and Bill is doing what he should be doing and things like that. I've got other guys who do that kind of stuff. I'd also try to tell myself the best places to advertise, build the content. I wish I got into YouTube earlier. I wish I got on to building my social media for my company earlier. I had no idea that I was going to grow into the direction where we have so much of our marketing on that and the content on that. I also didn't believe that the in-field hot seat stuff was going to be 100% possible. I knew it was possible, but I didn't know that we could actually do it because it's so easy to get caught. I mean, we figured out how to do it. I would explain exactly how we did that because that's a really unique aspect of our business. Other than that, I think getting a part of a mastermind early and like saving the money from those masterminds that weren't. I also wish I saved a lot more of my personal funds and put that into the business earlier on so I could build a massive amount of reserves. Other things is I wish I dealt with the media scandal of Joiningate a little bit differently. The next time that thing happens or something similar happens in the press, I wish I could respond faster. I definitely can now because I have a public relations team. I would have had a press conference and I would have responded to all the criticism, dispelled all the myths and rumors that were false, and attacked that because it cost so much of my time just learning the ropes and how to do that. Also, I think that having more people that were really talented in the business administration in Los Angeles would have been good. You know, I think that I never really liked the idea of having a lot of physical offices. We do have them now, both houses and physical offices and office space or commercial space. Because having people work together as opposed to remote is really powerful. On the other hand, having people remote is also a necessary part of our business, especially with the people who are traveling with instructors. So I guess the other thing is we changed the way our programs work so much, how we refined our boot camps, how we refined Vegas Immersion especially. Like Vegas Immersion was originally operating out of condos, and then we moved it into hotels and having an office training facility. We also, at one time, we were even leasing a hotel at the convention center, and that was super expensive. So I wish I could cut the learning curve and just get rid of all those things I missed. But I mean, at the same time, having the field experience and knowing what I know what works based upon reference experiences as opposed to someone telling me, it adds a lot of value. So going through all the learning pains, it does add a ton of value because you lose the fear. A lot of people have fear because they don't know what's going to happen when they try a particular thing. They're like, well, I wonder what's going to happen here. But I've gone a lot of that. I've done a lot of things and I've gone through a lot of that process. So I really value that on the other hand. So it's a balance between whether or not I'd want to just have someone tell me everything or go through the journey, because a lot of the game in terms of learning how to pick up and a lot of the game in terms of how to become a better business person is learning from field experience. And you really just can't cut the corners because the path to mastery, business and life and dating and whatever, is really through that reference experience montage. Just going through all that stuff and going through it all. And the other thing I think is I wish that in terms of like my personal life, I wish I went deeper with a lot of my relationships. I have this massive Rolodex, and there's a lot of people that I wish I spent more time with, I didn't spend enough time with, I also think that I wish I had, I wish I changed the way I spent my money a little bit earlier. I used to spend a ton of money going out to the bars and clubs and organizing parties at the bars and clubs, and I still do that today. But I think it was a little bit disproportionate in my 20s. I wish I spent maybe like half of that money and invested that into like an office that I used as like a base to throw parties, not at the club, but actually at a physical location. Not necessarily as a nightclub, but also as a place where I could organize fun things, like dinner parties, my social circle of friends. Because I got a lot of value doing that when I was living in Harvard Square. My wife was going to Harvard. We had a lot of intellectual people, had both a nice office and a nice house, and I thought that it was just a lot of fun to go deeper in those relationships. These are people that, even though I'm in Vegas, I'll stay in touch with them when I go out to Cambridge in about a week, take some classes at Harvard for law school. And I think that's a lot of value in that. Other than that, I wish I also upgraded our camera gear a lot earlier. You know, look at some of our old videos, and I was like, man, now that I'm getting into the appreciation of the cinematography, you know, I mean, I got a certificate from the USC School of Film. It's like an entertainment business certificate. So I've studied a lot of this stuff, but I never really got into the actual film part. It was more the business part. Now I can appreciate both sides. All right, one more question here. Let's see what we got. It says, how can I stay focused when I feel anxiety about possibly having no money to pay for the bills? Well, that's a damn good question, because there's a lot of times when you're a business owner that you feel that. That's why I recommend most people should not become business owners, because you could get the same success in business by taking those skills as being an entrepreneur and using it in someone else's business and being a part of a team without all the risk. Now, I've taken that risk. Just I'm afraid for a lot of my clients, because 99% of them will lose all their money, or just lose way more money than they should. They'll get learning lessons from it. But I've had family members and friends that have lost a ton of money from this. But then again, those 1% that survives, they make it to that level that people dream of. You know, that level that you'll see in my YouTube videos. It's awesome. So if that inspires you, take that shot. But you have to be willing to sacrifice it all. What I mean is, you have to be willing to look at that sacrifice and look at it as like a toll, and think of it as like a sunk cost. So if you're going to buy a ticket to go to a show, you're not getting that money back. You're going to go to the show, and maybe you'll learn something from that show if it's an educational show. But if you don't, you got to be willing to suck it up and take it in. And in terms of anxiety, in terms of the worry and fear when money's tight, man, that's a tough one, because I view money as tight even when my company's growing fast, because you don't realize, you have to look at, I never really thought calculus would ever be useful in my life, but in terms of calculus, like calculus is study of mathematics. We're looking at different flow rates and how one flow rate affects another. So if my growth is going up, the rate of my expenses growing up is likely to incur unless I lower that rate, so I could increase my rate of growth faster than that other rate. And so I have to manage that process, and that's a complicated thing, and it's hard to figure out. I do that with golf. I do that with dates with my wife. I do it with travel, spas, and I'm also doing it therapeutically by creating YouTube videos for you. Because I think it's fun creating YouTube videos for you and answering your questions. So I hope that answers your questions. I hope you're happy with those answers. In fact, I recognize that I also answered some of your other questions in another video, so this is kind of a double bonus, but that's what happens when people ask questions. For all those who are watching this, that just goes to show it. You better ask those questions, or someone else who answers those, or someone else asks those questions, they'll get their answers instead of you. So please write down those questions below in the comments here below this video. I'd love to answer your questions on the Ask Nick Coe show. But thanks for showing up. We're almost at the Strip, where I'm going to be doing another interview. This is kind of like a 4-video day where I did a live stream. I did a video about how to build teams with Backspace, Team Archon. I'm about to interview Harry, who has a huge hedge fund, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun making these videos, and also this video here has been a lot of fun. So thanks a lot. I'll see you next week. So we're at a stoplight. Just want to quickly tell you, subscribe to my channel, go to the RSD Founders Club, join the program. It's an epic program, and check out my 2 shows every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 2 epic shows. Monday's the Ask Nick Coe show. Thursday's the Mastermind show. Green light. Cheers.